The alien Queen Sarathia ruled a shining kingdom, but her heart was full of fear because her 3 newborn triplets were born paralyzed. They could breathe, they could blink, but their bodies did not move at all, not even a little. The royal doctors tried everything. They scanned their minds, tested their blood, and used medicines from many planets, but nothing worked. No one understood what was wrong. The queen stayed awake many nights, watching her silent babies lying in their floating cribs. She felt helpless. She felt scared. The kingdom needed strong heirs, but her children could not lift their own hands. She feared someone might try to harm them or use their weakness for power. So she made a decision. She ordered secret cameras to be placed in every corner of the nursery. She wanted to see everything, every moment, every breath. Only she knew about the cameras. Not even her advisors were told. The queen believed the footage would give her answers, but one cold morning, the cameras showed something she never expected. The nursery was quiet. The lights were dim. The triplets slept with their small faces glowing softly under the warm lamps. Then the door slowly opened. A human janitor named Mark stepped inside. He wore a plain uniform. His head was down. He held a small cleaning device. In his hand, he looked harmless. He looked simple. A human worker had no reason to be in the royal nursery at this hour. The queen leaned closer to the screen. Why was he there? Mark did not clean anything. Instead, he walked straight to the cribs. He moved carefully, like someone trying not to wake a sleeping child. He whispered something, but the cameras could not catch the words. He placed his hand near the first baby's chest, and something unbelievable happened. A soft golden light appeared from his hand. The queen gasped. No human had this kind of power. No human could create healing energy. Her heart raced. Was this man a spy? A threat? Something else? The baby's fingers switched for half a second, the first movement ever recorded. The queen froze. She replayed the footage again and again. She watched the moment carefully. She stared at the light coming from Mark's hand. She watched the tiny movement of the baby's fingers. She knew she was not imagining it. The paralyzed triplet had moved. Then Mark went to the second crib. The golden light came again. The second baby's eyes followed him, moving slightly. The queen covered her mouth. The doctors had tried everything for weeks. Nothing happened. But this human janitor touched the babies once, and they reacted. What was he doing? How did he know this power? Who had taught him? Mark then stepped toward the third crib. He closed his eyes, breathing slowly, like someone focusing deeply. The queen noticed that the air around him seemed to shift. Even the lights flickered. The golden glow returned, brighter this time. The third baby lifted one finger, just one, but it was enough. It was a miracle that the queen's hands shook. She zoomed in on Mark's face. He looked sad, focused, almost scared. It did not look like someone performing a crime. It looked like someone carrying a heavy secret. She whispered to herself, "Why can he do this, when even my royal doctors cannot?" Mark then left the nursery quietly, as if nothing had happened. He did not know the queen had seen everything. He did not know his secret was no longer hidden. The queen replayed the footage again. Her mind was spinning with questions. Was this human dangerous? Or was he the answer she had been praying for? Should she reveal that she knew about the cameras? Should she confront him? Or should she watch him longer? For the first time in weeks, the queen felt something new inside her chest. A small spark of hope. But it came with something darker, fear. Whoever could give life could also take it away. The footage ended. Her children lay still again, but the memory of their tiny movements stayed in her heart. The queen whispered to herself, "Who are you, Mark? And why do my children respond only to you?" The mystery had just begun. The truth behind the human janitor was deeper, stranger, and more dangerous than she could imagine. Mark returned to his small cleaning room deep under the palace. It was a narrow space with metal walls, a single bed, and shelves full of cleaning tools. Nothing about it looked special. Nothing about Mark looked special either. But inside him, a secret lived, a secret he had tried to hide for many years. Moment he closed the door, he leaned against the wall and breathed heavily. His hands were shaking. He stared at them as if they belonged to a stranger. The golden glow he used on the triplets still flickered faintly at his fingertips. He whispered to himself, "I should not have used it." Not here, but he had no choice. Not when he saw how weak the babies were. Not when he heard their quiet cries that no one else seemed to understand. He sat on the edge of his bed and closed his eyes. His memories rose like storm clouds. He remembered the old human healer who trained him when he was young. The healer told him that very few humans carried the inner spark, a rare energy that could heal or even break, depending on the heart of the user. Mark spent years learning how to control the spark. He learned to calm pain, mend small wounds, even restart failing nerves. But the training was dangerous. The spark took strength from the healer's body. Too much use could drain a person's life. Mark promised himself he would never use the ability again. It was too painful, too risky, too noticeable. He wanted a quiet life, far from war, far from miracles, far from danger. But then he came to the alien palace. And he saw the queen's triplets, motionless, helpless, suffering silently. He could not ignore them. Meanwhile, upstairs in her private chamber, Queen Sarathia sat frozen in front of the screen showing the recorded footage. She replayed the scene again, slowing every frame. She studied the golden glow, the gentle movements of her babies, the expression on Mark's face. The queen felt torn. A simple human janitor had done what her best physicians failed to do. How was this possible? Why had he hidden such power? Was he dangerous? Or was he a miracle? Her heart whispered one thing: he helped my children. But her mind whispered another: humans never have such power. Someone trained him. She called for her royal guard. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were cold. "Bring the human janitor to me," she ordered. But then she changed her mind at the last second. "No, do not alarm him. Watch him first, quietly." The guards bowed and left. Down below, Mark sensed something was wrong. He felt a pressure in the air, a tension moving through the palace halls. He knew the queen must have seen the footage. He knew his secret was in danger. So he walked to the maintenance bay, pretending to fix a broken cleaning drone. But inside his mind raced. He needed to understand what was happening to the triplets. The energy he felt from them during the healing was not normal. It was strong, like something inside the babies was trying to wake up, trying to break free. He whispered to himself, they were not born weak. Someone made them weak. The thought chilled him. If someone had harmed them before birth, that meant the danger was inside the palace, someone close. Someone trusted. He could not let anything happen to them. He did not know why he felt so connected to the triplets, but when he touched them, he sensed their fear. Their small hearts cried for help. Late that night, Mark returned secretly to the nursery. He checked the corners for guards. The hallway looked empty. The room looked quiet. But he did not know that the queen watched him from her chamber again. Yet this time, something was different. The triplets reacted before he even touched them. Their eyes followed him. One tried to lift a finger again. They glowed faintly, as if his spark awakened something inside their bodies. Mark leaned close and whispered, "I'll help you." "I promise," the queen gasped. She heard him. She saw everything. This was no accident. This human had a connection to her children that defied science. She stood up suddenly. She had to confront him. She had to know the truth. But before she could act, something else happened on the screen. something that sent a chill through her entire body. Behind Mark, a shadow moved. Someone else was in the nursery. Someone watching him. Someone who should not be there. The Queen's eyes widened. He is not the only one with secrets. And for the first time, she feared the truth she was about to uncover. Queen Saravia leaned closer to the screen, her breath shaking as she watched the footage. Behind Mark, a tall shadow moved silently along the wall of the nursery. It slipped between the floating cribs like a ghost. No footsteps. No sound. Not even the cameras detected when it entered. This was not normal. This was not safe. Mark did not notice the shadow behind him. He was focused on the triplets, whispering softly as he placed his glowing hand near their weak bodies. The babies responded again. Tiny movements, small breaths, their eyes lighting up with a faint inner shine. But the shadow stepped closer. The Queen suddenly slammed her hand on the control desk. "Guards!" she shouted. "Get to the nursery now!" 2 guards ran out of the throne hall and sprinted down the crystal hallway. But inside the nursery, the danger moved faster. Mark finally felt something behind him. His body stiffened. He turned slowly, expecting maybe a guard or a nurse. But instead, he saw a dark figure cloaked in shimmering black armor. Its face was hidden behind a silver mask with no eyes, only smooth metal. Mark froze. He whispered, "Who are you?" The figure did not speak. It stepped closer, its presence cold and heavy. The triplets began to whimper. Their small bodies trembled. Reacting to the evil energy filling the room, Mark stepped in front of the cribs without thinking. His heart pounded. His hands glowed again, brighter than before. The figure tilted its head, almost curious. For a moment, neither moved. Then, the door burst open. The 2 guards stormed inside with energy spears. "Stop right there!" They shouted. But the masked figure simply dissolved into smoke, a black, shifting cloud, and vanished through the vents. The Queen arrived seconds later, her gown sweeping behind her like a rushing storm. She pushed past the guards and stared at Mark standing between her babies and the disappearing shadow. Her voice was deep, sharp, and full of fear. What was that thing? And why was it standing behind? "You?" Mark took a step back. I don't know who it was." The Queen narrowed her eyes. She did not believe him. But she also saw the shield of light still glowing from his hands. The triplets were calmer now, breathing easier. She whispered, "Your spark protects them, doesn't it?" Mark swallowed hard. "Yes, they respond to it. I think someone wanted to hurt them." The guards lowered their spears. The Queen felt her stomach twist. Someone inside her own palace wanted her children dead. And a human janitor was the only one standing in their way. She turned to him slowly. "You will come with me. Now." Mark nodded. He did not try to escape. He knew this moment was coming. The Queen led him to a private chamber deep inside the palace. The walls were covered with ancient symbols from her ancestors. She locked the door with a wave of her hand. Then she faced him. "You healed my children," she said quietly. "You did what no doctor on my planet could do. I need to know why." Mark looked down. He wished he could lie. He wished he could stay invisible. But the moment he saw the masked shadow, he understood something important. The triplets' lives were in real danger. If he stayed silent, he would lose the chance to protect them. So he took a deep breath. "I was trained by an old human healer," he said. "A master of an ancient art called the inner spark. It is very rare among humans. Only a few can use it. I did not want anyone to know. I only wanted a peaceful life." The Queen's eyes softened, but only for a moment. "And why did my children move when you touch them?" she asked. Mark hesitated. "Because their condition is not natural. It feels like something blocked their life energy. Something placed inside them before they were born." The Queen stepped back, shaking her head. "That is impossible. Are you saying someone poisoned them in my womb? Mark whispered, yes. A silence heavier than stone fell between them. The queen closed her eyes. Then the shadow was not here for you. It was here to finish what it started. Mark stepped forward. Your Majesty, whoever did this will try again. And they will. Not stop. Your children need protection. She opened her eyes slowly. And you, she said, are the only one who can protect them. Before Mark could answer, a palace alarm began to scream through the halls. The queen's eyes widened in terror. The triplets were in danger again. The palace alarm screamed like a warning from the universe itself. Red lights flashed across the halls, turning every wall into a field of panic. Queen Sarathia rushed toward the nursery with Mark running behind her, his heart pounding like a drum in his chest. Guards pushed through the halls, shouting orders, searching every corner. No one knew what triggered the alarm yet, but everyone feared the same thing, the triplets. When the queen reached the nursery door, the guards stood frozen outside. Their faces were pale. What happened? She demanded. One guard swallowed and pointed at the door. Your Majesty. The scanners detected a foreign substance inside the nursery. Something alive. The queen didn't wait. She stormed inside. The room was dim and eerily quiet. The floating cribs shimmered softly. The triplets were awake, their eyes wide with fear. A thin black mist hovered near the ceiling like a living shadow. Mark felt his skin crawl. That's the same presence I felt before, he whispered. Queen lifted her hand, and her royal energy swept across the room, clearing the mist. But something stayed behind. A metallic device hidden inside the vent, blinking with a red light. Mark stepped closer. That's not a camera. That's a poison emitter. The queen froze, her voice cracked. Someone was trying to poison my children again? Mark nodded slowly. This is why their life energy feels blocked. This device releases microdoses over time. It attacks the nerves and stops development. That's why they were born paralyzed. The queen covered her mouth with her trembling hand. Her eyes burned with anger and pain. Someone inside this palace, Mark said softly, planned this before they were even born. Someone close. A guard ran toward them, holding a small data chip. Your Majesty, we found this lodged inside the device. It contains logs. Someone programmed it recently. The queen inserted the chip into a scanner. A hologram flickered to life. A name appeared. A name she trusted. A name that stabbed her deeper than any blade. Grand Advisor Varkos, the queen's face turned white. Varkos had served her family for decades. He had sworn loyalty. He had guided her through war and peace. He had sat beside her in council meetings, held her hand when her king died, and promised to protect her children. And he tried to kill them. Mark watched her carefully. He knew betrayal like this cut deeper than wounds. The queen closed her eyes, breathing slowly, as if holding herself together by force. Why? She whispered. Why would he do this? Mark gently touched the crib of the first triplet, letting a small glow flow from his hand. Because your children are powerful, he said. I felt their energy. They are not weak. They were never weak. Someone feared them. The queen blinked. What do you mean? Mark spoke quietly, but the truth shook the air. Your triplets carry a rare life force. It is strong. Stronger than anything I've ever felt. If they grow healthy, they will have powers your kingdom hasn't seen in centuries. The queen stared at him, her eyes filled with shock. So Varkos wanted to stop them before they became a threat? Mark nodded. Yes, and he will not stop now. He has seen what my spark can do. He knows the triplets are waking up. He will. Move faster. The queen clenched her fists. No more. He will not touch them again. Suddenly, the palace lights flickered. A deep vibration shook the floor. An explosion echoed from the upper level, loud, violent, close. Guards shouted. From the hallway, Your Majesty. The council chamber has been attacked. Varkos has fled. The queen lifted her head with fury. He is trying to reach the escape dock. He will run before we can question him. Mark stepped forward. I'll help you stop him. The queen turned to him. You are a janitor. Why would you risk your life for my children? Mark looked at the triplets. Their tiny hands moved weakly toward him, glowing faintly with the same golden spark. He swallowed. Because when I touch them, I feel something familiar, something human. Something connected to my spark. I don't know what it means yet. But I know one thing. They need me. The queen stared at him, stunned by his honesty. Then she nodded slowly. Very well. Mark, you will come with me. Before leaving the nursery, Mark placed his hand over each baby one last time. The golden glow flowed into them gently, like a shield of warmth. Their breathing steadied. Their fear faded. And for the first time, all three babies looked directly at him, as if they knew him. As if they were calling to him. The queen whispered, Whoever you really are, the truth will come soon. Mark whispered back, I'm starting to fear the same. They stepped out of the nursery. Varkos was loose. The palace was shaking. And the darkest secrets had only just begun to rise. The palace shook again as another explosion thundered through the upper halls. Dust fell from the crystal ceiling, and guards scrambled in every direction. Queen Sarathia and Mark rushed toward the council chamber, their footsteps echoing across the long metallic bridge that connected the royal wing to the main tower. Flames flickered behind cracked walls. Smoke curled through the hallways like dying shadows. The once peaceful palace now looked like a war zone. A frightened guard ran past them. Your Majesty. Advisor Varkos opened the emergency tunnels. He is heading toward the escape dock. Queen. Sarathia's jaw tightened. He will not leave this palace alive. Mark followed closely, scanning every dark corner. His spark hummed faintly inside him, like a small alarm. It warned him that danger was still near. They reached the council chamber. The doors were ripped open. Inside, the large round table was broken in half, and deep burn marks scarred the floor. Several council members lay unconscious, breathing weakly. The queen knelt beside her oldest advisor. Laldarian, what happened? The old man coughed, pointing weakly. Varkos, he revealed himself. He used forbidden shadow energy. He said the royal line must end. Then he attacked us and ran. Mark frowned. Shadow energy? That's not a normal power. The queen nodded slowly. It is ancient magic, banned for centuries. Only traitors use it. Mark felt a chill run down his spine. The shadow in the nursery, the poison device. The attacks, everything made sense now. Varkos wasn't just a traitor. He was trained in a dark art powerful enough to hide from cameras, move through vents, and invade nurseries without detection. We need to move, Mark said firmly. He will try one last thing before escaping. The queen turned sharply. What do you mean? Mark hesitated. When evil people know they cannot win, they try to destroy everything before they fall. The queen paled. You think he will target the triplets again? Mark nodded. I feel it. My spark reacts whenever danger is close, and right now, it is burning inside me. Before they could leave, another guard approached, holding a small black cube. Your Majesty. We found this in Varkos's chamber. It was still recording. The queen activated it. Varkos's voice filled the smoky chamber. The triplets cannot live. Their power will break the old order. I must stop them before they become unstoppable. The queen is blind. She does not see what is coming. Mark and the queen looked at each other, horrified. Then the recording continued, more disturbing than before. And the human. He's awakening the children. His spark matches the prophecy. If he continues, the bond will complete. The triplets will rise. I cannot allow prophecy to unfold. The cube shut off. Mark's heart raced. What prophecy? Why does he know about humans and sparks? The queen shook her head. I never told anyone about the old prophecy. It was buried with my ancestors. No one should know it. Mark's voice lowered. Then someone trained him. Someone who knew ancient secrets. They started running again, faster now, toward the escape docks. The alarms grew louder. Red lights spun wildly. The smell of burning circuits filled the air. At the end of the long golden hallway, the escape dock doors came into view, open and glowing with emergency lights. A loud metallic crash echoed from inside. The queen raised her hand, ready to strike. With royal energy, Varkos is inside. Stay close. But Mark stepped forward, sensing something. Your Majesty. Wait. They peered in carefully. Inside the dock, several royal pilots were lying on the ground, knocked out but still alive. A small craft was powering up, its engines glowing dark blue. And standing on the loading ramp was Varkos. His silver mask shone under the bright lights. Dark shadow energy wrapped around his hands like smoke. His voice echoed across the dock. You cannot stop destiny, Saradhya. The queen stepped forward. You betrayed me. You attacked innocent children. You poisoned the heirs you swore to protect. Varkos tilted his head slowly. They are not heirs. They are weapons. Their birth will bring chaos. They must not. Rise. Mark stepped beside the queen. They're babies. They're innocent. You fear something you don't understand. Varkos's voice sharpened. And you, human. You are the key that unlocks them. The prophecy spoke of you. I should have killed you the moment you entered this palace. Mark felt the spark surge inside him, stronger than it had ever been. Queen's eyes widened. Mark, your hands. Golden light burst from Mark's palms like fire. Varkos laughed. So the spark has awakened. Then the final battle begins. The dock doors slammed shut behind them. They were trapped. The escape. Dock shook as the heavy doors slammed shut, locking Mark, Queen Saradhya, and Varkos inside. The engines of the small craft hummed like a living beast, ready to launch at any moment. Blue sparks flicked across the floor as broken panels buzzed with unstable energy. Varkos stepped forward, his shadow magic swirling around his hands like black fire. You are too late, he hissed. The prophecy ends tonight. Queen Saradhya lifted her arm, royal power glowing around her fingers. I will never let you harm my children again. But before she could strike, Mark stepped ahead of her. Your Majesty, let me handle him. The queen stared at him in shock. You are only human. This is not your fight. Mark shook his head slowly. It became my fight the moment your children reached for me. Golden light began to gather around Mark's hands, brighter and hotter than ever before. The spark inside him pulsed like a rising star. Varkos scoffed. You think you can stop me? You have no idea what you are. Mark replied quietly, maybe. Not, but I know what I must protect. Varkos lunged forward with a blast of shadow energy. Mark reacted instantly, raising both hands. A shield of brilliant gold formed in front of him, absorbing the dark attack. The force pushed him back several steps, scraping his boots across the metal floor. The queen gasped. No human could block that. Mark felt the spark burning through his arms, strong but painful. He held his ground. Varkos's masked face twisted. So the bond has begun. The children's energy is feeding you. Mark didn't understand. What bond? But Varkos didn't answer. Instead, he launched another attack, this time stronger and faster. The shadow energy whipped toward Mark like a storm. Mark pushed his hands forward, releasing a burst of golden light. The two forces met. Shadow and light collided in the center of the dock, spiraling into a blinding explosion. The air cracked. The metal floor shook. The queen shielded her face, watching in disbelief as Mark stood against a power only ancient masters once controlled. Mark gritted his teeth. The spark grew hotter, harder to control. He felt as if something inside him was opening, something powerful, something old. Then for a split second, Mark saw something in the clash of energies. 3 glowing figures, the triplets, standing behind him in the vision, their eyes shining with the same golden spark. He blinked. The vision vanished, but he understood one thing clearly. He was connected to them. Varco suddenly changed direction. He created a spear of shadow from his hand and hurled it not at Mark, but at Queen Sarathia. No! Mark shouted without thinking. Mark threw himself between the queen and the spear. The dark spike struck his chest, knocking the air out of him. He fell to one knee, coughing. The queen screamed, "Mark!" But the spear melted into smoke. The spark inside him had burned it before it could kill him. Mark rose slowly, breathing heavily. "I'm not dying today," Varkos growled. "You are nothing but a tool. The prophecy chose you not because of your strength, but because your spark awakens theirs." Mark's heart raced. "What are you saying?" Varkos stepped back, preparing. His final attack. The triplets carry royal power, but it sleeps inside them. Only a human spark can activate it. Only you can finish the connection. You are the key, and that is why I must destroy you. He raised both arms, summoning a massive wave of shadow energy. The dock lights flickered violently. The air grew heavy and cold. The floor trembled as the dark wave rose higher and higher, ready to crush everything. The queen shouted, "Mark, get back!" But Mark didn't move. He closed his eyes and remembered the babies' faces. Their tiny hands reaching for him, their faint glow. Their weak voices calling silently. He whispered, "I'm not alone." His chest burned. His arms glowed. Golden light burst outward like an exploding star. Varkos launched the attack. Mark stepped forward and unleashed everything. The spark roared out of him like a sunbeam. The golden wave met the shadow head-on. Light swallowed darkness. The dock filled with blinding brilliance. The queen covered her face again. Heat rushed through the room. The explosion shook the entire palace. When the light faded, Varkos was on the ground, his mask cracked, his shadow magic flickering weakly. Mark fell to one knee, exhausted but alive. The queen rushed to him and caught his arm. "Mark, you defeated him." Mark shook his head slowly. "No, not yet. He has one last goal." The queen's heart froze. "The triplets?" Mark nodded. "He will still try to reach them, even if he must crawl." Varkos groaned on the floor, his voice weak but filled with hatred. "The prophecy will not complete. I will reach them." Mark stood up despite the pain. "Not while I live." The escape dock was silent for a long moment after the explosion of light. Smoke drifted across the floor. Broken lights flickered above. Queen Sarathia held Mark steady as he tried to catch his breath. His body felt heavy, drained, but the spark inside him still glowed softly. Alive, but tired. On the ground, Varkos struggled to rise. His mask had shattered, showing a pale face twisted with rage and fear. Shadow energy leaked from him like fading smoke. His power was nearly gone, but his hatred burned stronger than ever. The queen stepped forward, her voice shaking with emotion. "You betrayed your kingdom. You poisoned innocent children. You tried to kill my heirs." Varkos growled weakly. "I saved the kingdom from chaos. The triplets will destroy our order. You are blind." Mark stepped between them. "You don't fear chaos. You fear change." Varkos's eyes widened at the human's boldness. "The prophecy should never be fulfilled," he hissed. Mark's heart pounded. "What prophecy? Tell me the truth." The queen looked away for a moment. Pain filled her eyes. "It is time you both know," she whispered. She lifted her hand, and a glowing hologram projection formed between them. Ancient symbols circled around a scroll of light. The queen took a deep breath. "This prophecy came from my ancestors. It spoke of a future when royal children would be born with a power greater than any before. But their energy would sleep until awakened by a human spark. Mark froze. A human spark? Like mine. The queen nodded, and once awakened, the bond between the human and the heirs would create a force capable of reshaping the galaxy for peace or destruction. Varkos spat blood on the floor. Exactly. Too much power in the wrong hands. Your Majesty, humans are weak, unpredictable creatures. You brought one into the palace, and now he is their key. Mark looked down at his glowing palms. So this is why the triplets respond to me, why they move when I touch them. The queen stepped closer, her voice soft. Yes, you were. Chosen long before you arrived. The prophecy said the spark holder would come from a distant world. Humble, unnoticed, yet carrying the power to restore the heirs. Varkos screamed. No, his spark awakens their true strength. Once they rise, no one will stop them. The queen's eyes hardened. No one should stop them. They are my children. They are the future. Mark looked at her, surprised by her strength. The queen continued, and you, Mark, you are not only their healer. The prophecy says you are their protector, the shield of light. Mark's chest tightened. But I'm just a janitor. The queen smiled gently. You were a janitor. But destiny does not care about rank. Varkos pushed himself up onto one elbow, his voice desperate. I will not allow it. I will end the prophecy now. He summoned the last of his shadow power and lunged toward the exit. Toward the nursery. Queen Sarathia gasped. He's going after them. Mark moved first. The exhaustion in his body vanished. His spark ignited again, burning brighter, fueled. By instinct, by fear, by love for the triplets he barely knew, yet felt deeply connected to. He ran through the shaking hallways, the queen behind him. Guards shouted and cleared the path as the alarm blared louder. Mark's legs felt like fire, but he pushed harder. They reached the nursery. The door was already open. Inside, Varkos crawled toward the cribs, shadow energy flickering from his dying hands. The triplets glowed faintly, sensing danger. Mark yelled, "Stop!" Varkos turned, and Mark released the spark. A wave of golden energy rushed across the room, forming a brilliant barrier between Varkos and the babies. The shadow magic shattered like glass. Varkos screamed as the light burned him, stripping away his power. He collapsed to the floor, defeated at last. The queen entered, panting, and stared in disbelief. Mark stepped to the cribs. The triplets reached out to him, all three, their tiny fingers glowing with the same golden spark. Mark felt the bond complete, like three small hearts connecting with his own. Suddenly, the triplets moved. One lifted its arm. Another sat up with effort. The third opened its eyes wide and touched Mark's chest. Golden light burst from all four of them, rising like a dawn inside the nursery. The queen fell to her knees in awe. My children, you are awake. Mark felt tears in his eyes. They weren't weak, they were waiting. The prophecy fulfilled itself quietly, gently, not with chaos, but with love. The queen moved closer and bowed her head. Mark, from today, you are not a janitor. You are the royal protector of my heirs, their guardian, their bond. Mark swallowed hard. I'll protect them with my life. Behind them, Varkos lay motionless, his shadow magic gone forever. The queen stood, lifting her children with pride. The kingdom will know the truth, she said. A human saved our future. Mark looked at the triplets, glowing softly in his arms. He whispered, We're connected now, and I won't let anything harm you. Together, they walked into a new dawn, a queen, 3 awakened heirs, and one human whose spark changed the destiny of an entire galaxy.